What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new ShawnSetGO video. Today, we're going to take a little bit of a side conversation that we've had a few times in the game, but it's worth talking about each time because it's something that has been kind of, I don't know, on the downhill, or it's been kind of wishy-washy. At the very least, we're often just kind of fixing in the ideas or the bits that we want to, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we just kind of go with it. Or we just go, well, I don't really care about this out in any way, so it's not that big a deal. And the thing I'm talking about, of course, is WoW storytelling. I think it's one of those things that is unfortunately, it's never been great. Let's be honest. It's never been fantastic. At most, it's been nostalgic and it's had its moments. You know, you can think of the Burning Crusade or the Wrath of the Lich King as some of those peak moments, or maybe even Warcraft with those peak moments. Or you can refer to the books. A lot of people do as their main source, and you can see that the storytelling does get better in some regards. But for some reason, it doesn't always translate to retail. And I wanted to talk about this because I saw this post here. Says modern WoW storytelling. I'm really surprised it's not dude did more than this, but I thought that was really funny. It says 3 adult, healthy and able-bodied people are standing next to a stain on the wall, lamenting their fate. You show up. One wants to scrub it with his hand. One wants to use a piece of cloth. The last one wants to use chemicals. They are arguing about it. You kill 8 laser dragons to gather cloth, pick up 12 cosmic antimatter to mix up the chemical, and then do a mini game where you use a silk cloth to wipe away the stain. Oh wow, thank you, champion. If we work together, we can wipe away any stain. I finally understand my companions, and I love them. I'm also having an emotional awakening right now in this moment when you are here to witness it. One of the 3 adults dies a preventable death while epic music plays. The other 2 are very sad. There are bubbles above their head where you can listen to them being very sad and suffer. You pick up the gold and your greens, and you move on to the next group of 3 able-bodied people crying over a stain on the wall. So hearing this, I mean, the summary of this is that a lot of this is very non-serious. A lot of it is made to make you feel like it should be serious, but it doesn't necessarily always translate that way. I think the perfect example is right outside the meadery, where you're given the task to create traps and little defensives to prevent the waves of enemies. It all seems very intense, but the quest overall is very simple. And by the end of the quest, a person dies. And it's kind of anticlimactic. It's like, well, you didn't necessarily need to die. I feel like everything was going fine in that moment. Like, it was not necessary for you to self-sacrifice or to do what you did. It just felt like you were doing something to maybe put another earthen character into the main story more. And so by the end of it, it kind of just feels very sour, where it's just like people dying, it's not that big a deal because there's always someone to take their place anyways. And it just felt very avoidable, or it didn't feel like enough stress had been built up in a situation. Our backs weren't against the wall. We literally walked over there like, hey, I got some job for you. And then all of a sudden someone's dead. So that's the kind of like the idea that I'm trying to portray. I'm not saying the overarching story is bad. I'm not saying every situation is like this, because I mean, like, the raid and the mainline story feels at least like there's something going on. But let's look at some of the comments, because I wanted to read a few of them. So this is classic. The Defias bandits are terrorizing the vineyards. We can't get any work done. Bring me 8 of their bananas as proof of your success. And then repeat it a couple of times with different enemies or locations. I would say it's more of like, it'd be like the Defias bandits stole some of our crates. Murder all of them. Now, don't get me wrong, some enemies do deserve it, but man, it's violent. Also, zebra have 0 hooves, and most raptors don't have their heads. The way I've always justified this is probably giving Warcraft more credit than it's due, is that when they want those, they want like the prized ones. And so whenever you go to it, it's like, it's it's not the prized, zebra, not in good condition or something like that. I don't know. Like with the raptors, like if you maybe did too much damage to it, they want the premium heads, I guess. I don't know. Everyone's just saying, hell yeah. This is the way. Oh, someone downvoted them. This is the way. Yes, come on. I started watching pitch meetings on YouTube that breaks down how stupid movie plots are. And that made me notice incredibly stupid the storytelling of WoW is. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but I think Blizzard has always been bad at telling stories. I love the lore, I love the concept within the world, but it's one of those cases that reading on the wiki is interesting and fun, but experiencing it in a game makes you question the writing. Yeah, I'd say like overall, when you talk about just like the general lore, it's very cool, but it doesn't hold up, say like as well as like Warhammer 40K lore. It's not very, when we talk about the dialogue itself or how the actions play out in the game, it's very bad. But when you look at it from like a very far perspective, I think it looks a lot better. And just when you're close and you're right up in it and you're like, hello hero, and they look at you, you're just like this is this is bad. This is not good. It's clear how deep the writers think they are. The latest move on the LRN quest was so poorly done, incredibly cringy, and it meant nothing at all. You could always play ESO for storytelling. I don't know how good Elder Scrolls is. A lot of people tell me Elder Scrolls or Final Fantasy 14 in my comments, though. So I mean, I'm inclined to believe them. I guess that storytelling is a little bit better, or it has better storytelling than WoW. But developing this conversation a little bit further, I found another post now a little while ago, but now let's look into the future. It says, what's your worst idea that the saga story could go? Had some funny ideas whilst thinking about how the saga could progress and wanted to know yours. Azeroth awakens, but it's just a complete rehash of the Eternals movie storyline where we all get friendship bracelets and turn Azeroth to stone in the sea to stop the planet from being destroyed. My other idea is that the Sargeras returns and the sword the whole time has been nothing important, just stored it there like the sword in the stone because no one was big enough to reclaim it. What's your ideas? What you come up with? So this one is the world's sustained too much damage over the eons, and the Void's final gambit successfully strikes a killing blow, forcing Sylvanas to absorb the essence, become the mortal Titan hybrid, and defeat the Void Lords. I hate this. Anduin marries Widow Arachne and rules both Stormwind and Ashkahet in a personal union. Azeroth is so inspired by their love that she awakens the Titan of friendship and banishes the Void Lords. I'd read this fan fiction. Wow, this is long. Sylvanas is freed from the Maw and everyone forgives her because she served her time. She learned her lesson with Xal'atath inching closer to her goals. The Horde realizes it and needs a strong leader and elect her. She's war chief again. Anduin is struggling to find the light still. Towards the end of the War Within, he and Sylvanas hook up. There's a fade to black scene, and Anduin rediscovers his light. The WoW community memes. Anduin. Wow. Basically, it's a performance issue. It's performance anxiety. The couple are together again and lead the fight against Xal'atath. She's bringing the Void Lords into Azeroth, and just as the War Within is coming to an end, Sylvanas betrays us. Turns out she has not been herself since the death of the jailer. He actually killed her in the fight and transferred his consciousness to her. We see a new cutscene just as the jailer's about to die. They swap bodies. Turns out it was Sylvanas trying to get us tell us about a bigger threat, and the jailer played "I will stay in the Maw" card, but will actually regaining souls to regain his power. The jailer and Xal'atath bring forth the Void Lords. The Midnight begins. Honestly, with something like this, it's one of those things that it sounds realistic because it's just like the only way we can connect expansion storylines over time is to do something like this, where it's like you thought you knew all the information, you don't know all the information, and now you feel dumb for not knowing the information. It's like, oh wow, so smart. Appreciate it. Xal'atath was actually being controlled by a Void Lord and is later forcefully redeemed by Blizzard because nothing was really her fault. She was mind controlled. That seems to be a common thing that I see, is that bad guys like aren't just bad guys, or if they have like a just cause, like we have to become friends with them. I don't think that's necessarily the way that things should be done. I think that sometimes bad guys are just bad guys, or they have a just cause, but unfortunately their just cause means everybody else dying. So you have to kill them first. So I think we have to make these storylines a little bit more clean instead of giving everybody a redemption arc. I don't think everybody deserves a redemption arc. Everything we did was merely a setback for Kale Thoughts. Actually good. Avengers Assemble. Again, on one side, we have the heroes of Azeroth, King Anduin, Redeemed Sylvanas, Jesus Illidan, and Moses Thrall. On the other side, we have the old villains Ashara, Denathrius, Xal'atath, and Discount Deathwing. Okay. Honestly, Avengers Assemble moment is fine if it's earned. I mean, I think you have to develop enough of those characters individually before doing that. I think the reason why Avengers works is because there was good Thor movies, there was good Iron Man movies, there was good Captain America movies. Maybe not all of them were good, but there were enough to where when we see them together, we know their individual like causes and those type of things. I feel like right now, enough of these characters they're kind of dried out a bit. So even if one of them dies, it doesn't necessarily feel that as important. So they've kind of been overused at this point. After the Titans are baited to Azeroth, all of them are killed by Erdikon, except for Sargeras. But it doesn't really matter somehow, and the life of Azeroth doesn't really change at all. I feel like that's going to be like that's a realistic standpoint, just because I feel like there's this fear with the saga that they have to be clean and neat, and they can't necessarily have these storylines that just end. Like they have to extend beyond, because we've created this saga. I think if you think about other things that have a saga, for example, like the Star Wars saga, you have the first, second, third movie, but essentially that's not the end of their story, because the end of the story potentially happens around 6, unless you think about the things that carry over into 7, 8, 9. But over that time, there's a lot of things that are lost in that story when you extend them beyond just their where they start, in that you lose a lot of it. I think Lord of the Rings is a great example of a story that does this well, in that the first set of the story, even though they don't achieve the end, which is initially the ring, you still have enough changes in the second one and different goals and things that you feel more inclined by, even though you know in the background the main goal is always to get the ring to Mordor. So I think that there has to be something that sits unsettled, and there is, but I don't know if that's enough to where we're okay with putting it on the sidetrack for a little while it still develops. And it's not just something that they just go, hey, by the way, while you didn't see it all this time, whole new army, and like had so many side projects that you didn't know about. You weren't even fighting the main enemy. And I feel like it's going to be one of those things that we just write in that, like, by the way, you learned nothing from the first part, and we're just going to keep on doing that until the end, is my fear. So that's why I worry about that doesn't change at all. It's the worry that every season has to conclude with like it being an end, and then honestly just kind of restarting versus continuing those storylines that didn't end. That's my fear with that. And then Azeroth explodes, but Chromie saves us all by pushing us into a different past. Enter the WoW 2. Let's go. That's it. Best ending. Best possible ending. Oh wow, that is a long one. There's a whole lot of fan fiction in these ones. There's so much. Wow, you're an absolute madman. Strip the main villain, crazy scientist. I feel like I need to read these later. These are gonna be a lot. I'm gonna post these in my Discord and see which ones will end up liking the best. But I think with that, you know, I do like to bring the discussion out to everybody. So if you're watching this video and you got to this point, what are some of the things that you're hoping from the story now, how it evolves? What are the things you're not wanting to see, or you just kind of want them to kind of go, you know what, I'd be okay if we just stop talking about this? Or what are the things that you're hoping that they really capitalize on and really make a thing across the Soul Saga? I want to see the long comments. I miss my long comments where I see the paragraphs. I want to see what you guys are thinking, because I think WoW is in a state right now where there is a degree of listening, and there are things that do change for the better, but I think it's better that we attack it now as opposed to waiting and seeing what may happen. I'm hoping that we can have like a version of Sonic, you know, like everyone talks about Sonic now and how it changed from where it was possibly the worst design of Sonic that we've ever seen. But we can make this difference now while it's still early, while things have not been set in stone quite yet. Because we have at least have a foundation overall. Like I said, like a far out look, we have a decent foundation of what we should be expecting. And it doesn't look terrible. So let's lead it across the proper finish line and not get the bad ending. Let's get the good ending where you do like no deaths and 100% it or something like that. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Of course, if you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the page while you're at it. And then, of course, join us on stream, twitch.tv/ShawnSetGO, where I play sometimes variety, sometimes WoW. And right now, just kind of jumping into content between a number of games. Most recently, we played a Game Stonk simulator where it had a lot of fun. It's randomness, but it's also like just fun to kind of take a break from WoW while we're kind of making content as well. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And until next time, catch you in the next one. Peace.